What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the long-awaited review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I seen Deadpool and Wolverine last Friday. Would have been Friday 27th, I think it was. 26th, sorry. I seen it in IMAX 3D at my not-so-local cinema. I was about an hour travelling just to get there by walking and train. Honestly, anyone who hasn't seen it yet, IMAX 3D is the way to go, trust me. We sat around the middle row, just a bit ahead of it, and honestly, it was perfect. The picture was so crisp, the 3D effects actually work, which is a big criticism of a lot of 3D films I have nowadays. This is a full spoiler review. Anyone who's not seen the movie, please leave. Unless you don't mind spoilers, that's okay, you can stay. I don't see why anybody who wants to see this movie would want to be spoiled, because trust me, going into this movie blind is the best thing you can possibly do. We're going to try to do it like act by act. There will be stuff I miss out and have to go back to. It is a lot to take in. A lot happens in this movie. First off, I will say I loved it. I absolutely adored this film. I don't think they could have done any better. I really don't. And it did not play at all, like in terms of the ending or anything, like I thought it would. So we're going to get straight on into it. There's only one place to start if we're going in chronological order. That opening sequence, first off with Deadpool just addressing the elephant in the room about not desecrating the ending to Logan, and he just flat out says, it's like, yeah, we're just gonna do that. He's obviously doing the dance bye 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 by NSYNC, throwing around the corpse of Logan himself. It is the best opening sequence to a movie I have personally ever seen. The dance routine, like all the brutal killing with the Wolverine's bones, it was perfect. And I know I've seen a few complaints, people saying about thought they weren't going to mess with the ending of Logan. They didn't really. Logan is still clearly passed away. That version of him anyway. They just defiled his body a little bit. Some of the stuff Deadpool was doing with Wolverine's skeleton was outrageous, but it was brilliant. I definitely think it was the best opening sequence ever. Then we obviously get into the whole stuff about his midlife crisis. He meets Happy Hogan, first cameo of the movie. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I was sort of expecting for maybe a few other cameos in that little bit, but we can't really complain. I would like to know how he actually got over to Earth 616, because I don't think it was established the Cable's time device could do that. But now we know that Happy Hogan knows of Deadpool, so if in the future Avengers movies, if they're lacking numbers, maybe Happy Hogan will remember, oh yes, there's this guy that applied, his name was Wade Wilson, and it will go on from there. So that scene I think was very important. I think that wasn't as much about a cameo. I think it was more about setting it up where there will be at least one person in the MCU that knows of Deadpool when the time comes. Next on, I would say, before we get anything, the soundtrack for this entire movie was absolutely unbelievable. See between I'm With You by Avril Lavigne, Little Hint, The Greatest Showman, obviously Grease. I think you've got Like a Prayer. Like, anyone who has seen this movie who is not constantly singing Like a Prayer doesn't have a soul, in my opinion. It's such a good song, and it works perfectly in this film, which is surprising, especially the epic version when they're at the end. The power of friendship is saving the day. It's incredible. Every song and it absolutely hits, and obviously Bye 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 by NSYNC was the perfect way to start it off. The cameos, like, we don't even know where to start. Obviously, we said Happy Hogan. The Wolverine montage, I thought for a second, well, number one, I went into this movie thinking we were going to get Taron Egerton, Daniel Radcliffe, and Henry Cavill, all as variants of Wolverine. We got 1 out of 3, which isn't bad. Having every single one of them be Hugh Jackman, maybe a small missed opportunity, but it made up for it with like the brief glimpse of Hulk, obviously fighting. We obviously got Patch Wolverine. We got the Apocalypse Wolverine. Like, we got our fair share of epic moments, and the short King Wolverine is probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Him jumping off that bar stool is just absolute pure cinema. I'm sure, like when cinema reactions come out online, I'm sure a lot of people will be laughing their heads off at that. But um, I would say Human Torch, Chris Evans. Very big spoiler here. I loved his appearance as Johnny Storm. I really did. I think if one of the big cameos in The Void had to be killed off sort of quick or just made of an example of by Cassandra, it would have been Human Torch. Simply because we know he's Steve Rogers as well. I'd be shocked if Steve Rogers didn't pop up in Secret Wars. If that's the end of Human Torch, it's not for the best, but it would make sense. So like Chris Evans could concentrate on Steve Rogers, and that be the end of Human Torch. This was essentially a goodbye to a lot of the Fox characters, so that is his goodbye essentially. And he went out with some funny lines that Deadpool had the pleasure of reciting back to Cassandra, so that was pretty funny. The scene where we got Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and obviously the previously spoiled Daphne Keane was amazing. It's like especially Gambit. I had heard mumblings that there was a few that these guys might have been in the movie, but seeing Channing Tatum in full Gambit gear was absolutely brilliant. It really was. In my opinion, he showed Fox that you shouldn't have cancelled his project. He was born to play it. His Cajun accent was actually spot on, no matter what Deadpool liked to make fun of him for it. The jokes with Blade about "you never liked me" was brilliant. Him obviously saying his classic lines about ice skating uphill. I never thought we would have seen Wesley Snipes in another Marvel movie, especially a Ryan Reynolds led one. But here we are. Obviously, Elektra, Jennifer Garner making that brilliant joke about when Daredevil was revealed to have passed away. It's like, nah, it's fine. Nobody cares, obviously, alluding to the real life divorce from her ex-husband Ben Affleck. Very funny. Daphne Keane, I think, would have been so much more impactful if it hadn't been spoiled in the trailer a couple of days before. But at the end of the day, they knew they had enough in reserve that they could maybe reveal one or two big ones in the trailer, make sure to get them ticket sales up. Which, and by the way, at the time of recording this, I've seen they've just posted a $205 million domestic opening weekend for an R-rated comedy. It breaks the record by about 80 million, which is insane. 438 million global in the first weekend. Yeah, this movie should be hitting about 1.5 billion. I really hope so anyway. It is a fantastic movie. Next up, the villain, Cassandra Nova. I think she did brilliant. I actually was very, very impressed with Cassandra Nova. She got plenty of screen time. We got her backstory, epilogue out of the way quickly. Obviously, she's usually a unborn twin of Charles Xavier, who was killed in the womb. But obviously this one was dumped off in the void from birth, basically, and grew up in the void. She is fantastic. I love the imagery of when she's like putting her hands or fingers through people's brains because she has to get her hands dirty. I thought she was fantastic. Her scenes with Wolverine, especially when she's going into his trauma, I actually felt was very emotional. It was actually done very well. It's actually, and then obviously Wolverine like tricks her. She has the helmet put on, but it was still done very well. So I'm glad that we actually got a very good film. I would say she's the best villain out of all three X-Men films. Like, it's, to be honest, it's not really that hard because like obviously we like Russell and Juggernaut were the villains of the second one. Just Cable turned good like halfway through, and the first one it was just what do you call a Francis? It was Francis. So yeah, Cassandra's the best villain by far. Obviously, she's got an app. She's cherry picked the best villains around from previous X-Men films. Pyro, Juggernaut, not Vinnie Jones Juggernaut, but modelled the same way. Obviously, he was telling the truth when he said he was asked back and just would not go through that regime, that getting the makeup and all on the costume, he wouldn't do it, and he stuck to his word. Obviously with loads of other ones, Azrael, Toad, Lady Deathstrike, like all of them were back essentially. I've seen there's also been ones like revealed that are like bad guys in like there was a Bullseye variant and all from the 2003 Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. So there was plenty of death fodder. I've seen a few people were annoyed at how quickly the Sabretooth fight with Wolverine happened. I didn't expect anything less, to be honest. Wolverine promised in that very first X-Men movie he was going to cut his head off, and you knew the second he was running towards him, he was cutting that man's head off. So that was expected. It was funny. I did love the reveal of the Chris Evans Human Torch. Deadpool getting excited. Um, a lot more about. I love Deadpool's jokes. Like the guy in the TVA, the one that had the mug that Deadpool stole in the end. Like all the HR jokes was fantastic towards him. I'm very interested in the scene that they hinted at from the future of Deadpool being held by four. I know I mentioned it in a previous video, but for people seen it, I won the cons. They made it sound like it was old footage from Four Dark World with Deadpool's face superimposed on top of Loki. That looked like new footage. I'm not saying Chris Hemsworth came in and filmed that little bit of footage, but that looked like older Four with like the scar on his face. Obviously, he didn't have that in the Dark World, so I think that is a hint of something that might happen in Secret Wars. Maybe there's the big battlefield, all the variants are fighting. Maybe Deadpool looks like he's gonna die and Four's holding him. Maybe that's something to look forward to. I really hope so. The fight sequences, honestly, were unbelievable. Like I can't even pick a favorite between the one at the one at the very start with the bye 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 going, the one in when they first enter the void between Deadpool and Wolverine, the one in the car between Deadpool and Wolverine, which was see for a close up fight was unbelievable, and then the one at the end like a prayer with all the Deadpool core, it was unbelievable. And also in terms of Deadpool core, the fact that we've had it confirmed that Lady Deadpool was Blake Lively in voice, not in body. Kid Deadpool and Baby Deadpool were voiced by Ryan Reynolds' own kids. Cowboy Deadpool was Matthew McConaughey. I really wish they had him said all right, all right, all right, but all right, all right, all right. That would have been absolutely perfect. But it is what it is. Like every fight scene was unbelievable. I think my favorite probably is the Like a Prayer one. The Deadpool Wolverine versus the whole Deadpool core, because it was more like a side scroller animation fight, and like the music's blasting. Wolverine has just put on that mask, which was such a big moment. It's like Ryan Reynolds knows what he's doing in these movies. He knows how to hit those big moments, and he hits them over and over again. It is no coincidence that this guy has his finger on the pulse of the entire comic book movie industry. He can do no wrong. It looked like the whole fight looked like something out of a comic book. I did think it was funny how easily the Deadpool Corps were defeated, considering there was like 100 of them, and they all have the same regeneration powers as Deadpool. Like he's getting shot by them, and it's doing like no damage, and he's shooting them, and it looks like it's killing them, except obviously it doesn't. The actual fight I loved, and I loved he didn't land the superhero landing because that's just perfect Deadpool. And to finish it off, the ending and Wolverine's story arc and Deadpool's in particular were brilliant, and it ended perfectly with them obviously holding hands, the epic version of Like a Prayer playing, and them both replaying in their heads what means the most to them. Wolverine just wants to belong again. He wants to feel proud of himself. He wants to feel like he's doing his X-Men comrades proud after what happened. Like he feels he let them down, and he wants to do that the X-Men name proud, the suit proud, and he's doing that. He's finally found something worth fighting and dying for, and that is obviously Deadpool's world. Deadpool is just looking to. I know obviously Peter said he's having a midlife crisis, but he pretty much is. He's lost Vanessa, like all his friends, like Deadpool sort of uses his friends. Like they don't actually need Deadpool the way Deadpool needs them. It's like so he sort of uses them a little bit. As the first time he's done something selfless, like he's willing to die for his world, for his friends, and for Vanessa in particular. And it's a very, very good ending. I absolutely loved the ending. Obviously they Marvel Jesus rises again. He comes out with Wolverine like Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls playing it as loud as it can. Everybody just Drilling over Wolverine without the t-shirt on. Obviously, when that ripped off, that was hilarious. I love this whole movie. Post-credit scene, I am actually a little bit disappointed they didn't do something bigger in terms of the Marvel Universe. I thought this movie would have ended with not even Deadpool and Wolverine in the MC in their universe anymore. I thought they would have been either in the TVA getting ready to like cherry pick maybe team members for Secret Wars, or just in the MCU. One of the two. I did not think that Deadpool's universe would even still be here, so it is actually a big surprise. But I suppose it leaves a couple of doors open, maybe for Cable to come back in the future if that world still exists. Maybe we'll get another variant of Cable, and it'll be somebody else. It was a fantastic ending. I will give this movie a 9 out of 10. In my head, when I first came out of the cinema, it was a 10 out of 10, but 9 out of 10 is still pretty good. I still think it's the best Deadpool movie. I think probably Deadpool 1 would be an 8 out of 10 for me, and Deadpool 2 would be a 7.5 out of 10. All of them are brilliant movies. This one is going to make so much money. It's going to maybe put the Deadpool trilogy at like a $3 billion franchise, which is insane for a trilogy. Iron Man doesn't have that. Captain America doesn't have that. Guardians of the Galaxy don't have that. Avengers does. But literally, Deadpool and Wolverine could save the MCU, and I really hope they do. Everything about it is fantastic. I would love to see it again as soon as it hits Disney Plus as well, because in the UK it just goes to Disney Plus through their Star service, so we'll be able to just watch that. I don't know how it is in America. I will be watching that over and over again for sure. I love it. And that's it, guys. As I said, a good 9 out of 10. If you guys want to pop in the comments down below what you guys thought. All I can say is I am so glad that Disney caved and just gave Ryan Reynolds everything he needed and wanted, because this movie is what we need. We needed this in the MCU. We needed this before Captain America. We needed a bit of faith restored. So thank you very much to Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I hope Hugh... the joke about Hugh, Disney's going to make Hugh do this till he's 90. I don't think anybody else is going to be able to come in and do Wolverine as better than Hugh Jackman, or even close, so maybe we just let him do that, or we actually get Henry Cavill as Wolverine, because he was pretty good as well. I'm not going to lie, Henry Cavill was pretty good. I noticed that he did the arm reload to get his claws out, so I'm in love with this movie, I have to say. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff you guys like to do, and I shall see you on the next one.